Chancellor, Pro-Vice Chancellors, Directors, Deans, faculty and staff of Amity University in India and Amity institutions all abroad, officers and staff from Raj Bhavan, Raj Nivas, Puducherry, faculty and staff of Amity, students and my dear parents, very warm good evening to all of you and namaste. This evening is very, very special for all the ecosystem of Amity University because we have extremely able leader who has created many leaders in the past among with us. Your Excellency, Dr. Kiran Bedi ji is a name which is known to everybody, and I will not even attempt to introduce her because at this particular moment, my thoughts goes to one very famous novel by Charles Dickens, A Tale of Two Cities. The opening line says, "It was the worst of the time, it was the best of the time." So this time is exactly like that. We are into the best of the time as well as the worst of the time. But what difference it makes to navigate through this difficult time is a leader like Her Excellency. Now, in the last 100 years, we have seen the world has seen major two wars, right from 1914 to 1919, World War One. In between, the health crisis, Spanish flu, 1917 to 1990, intervening period of Bolshevik Revolution, 1917-1990, World War II, 1939 to 1945, and several other wars. But how the world has survived and the nations have progressed is about a leadership, an able leader guiding people through the crisis and leading their nations, their communities towards prosperity and wellness. Your Excellency, you have been a motivational leader throughout for so many officers. A good leader is the one who leads when he or she is present. But a good leader is one who leads even when she is not present or he is not present. And I know that officers and staff all across governance and government organizations vouch for your leadership. Madam, we are so fortunate this evening because your entire life has been based upon Seva Parmo Dharma, service before self. And without blinking an eye, I can say that you have always stood for Agre Sarat Sarvada, forward ever, and forward ever. I remember a very, very famous book which was at the bedside of our former president, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. And the book name is Light from Many Lamps by Nancy. But today, this evening, we can see the same light with your presence. So light from many lamps and many light from many leaders. We are very fortunate to have you this evening among us, and all the academic community are eager to listen to you, ma'am, and enrich ourselves. Before we proceed, it's my honor. May I request our Honorable Chancellor, Dr. Asim Chauhanji, for a welcome note, please.
We are so delighted that we have a personality like Her Excellency Honorable Governor of Puducherry, Dr. Kiran Bedi, with us here today. There are some people who are put on the earth by God to come and transform the lives of other people, to make the lives of other people better. And she is such a person. We are so happy that Dr. Kiran Bedi has been a well-wisher of Amity also and gives the time for the students and the faculty of Amity when she can. And recently, Dr. Bedi, you had given a talk to one of our other universities in Delhi. Your words reverberated to so many thousands of students and people across the country. And every advice that you have given since that time, we are following it in letter and spirit. You spoke to our founder, Dr. Ashok Chauhan, also on the phone, and you were able to give your vision for education and skills and training. And your thoughts will lead to a new paradigm of how training, skills, and education in the country can be done. We are committed to following those footsteps and working with you to make that vision a reality. And what you have achieved as a police officer, as an activist, as a role model for women around the world, and now, of course, as governor, I think it is something which is absolutely incredible. We could not be happier that you are today speaking to the Amity University Mumbai community. We remain committed on behalf of the entire Amity fraternity and family and the Chauhan family to your vision and your thoughts. And I'm so grateful that you could give us the time here today. Thank you so much. I look forward to hearing your great words of wisdom, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Another thing is very important. At this juncture, I must mention, Your Excellency, you have always stood for upholding law. Your Excellency, you have always been with the common man. And for the good people, the moment they looked at you, they started saying, Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu, you are everywhere. And those who are on the other side of the law, by looking at you, they started chanting, Namastubhyam, Namastubhyam. Please forgive me, please forgive me. So your light emanates this evening. Before I request you for your kind address, Your Excellency, may I request our IT team to play a small motivational video based upon the glorious life of Your Excellency.
A hero is a person really intent on making this place a better place for all people. A hero is a person, typically a man, who has been admired for his distinguished courage and acts. But here, we are talking about hero, that is, her plus O, her outstanding achievements. An ordinary individual who finds strength to preserve and endure in spite of overwhelming obstacles. Someone who dares. Our hero, India's first women IPS officer, Kiran Bedi. Kiran Bedi is truly an icon of heroism, India's first and highest women ranking IPS officer, born on June 9, 1949. In Punjab, holds a law, master's, doctorate degree, been a national and an Asian tennis champion.
What I learned on the tennis court is exactly what I practice in the police field. It's a transparent, open work where I'm serving the people, where I'm playing for the people. Here I'm serving the people. And instead, there I had a racket in my hand, a tennis racket. Now I have a police baton or my police uniform.
Dr. Kiran Bedi has worked extensively to prevent drug trafficking as the General Director of Narcotics Control Bureau.
So I always had the courage internally with me to say, this is wrong. I can't do it. Because for me, my goal was always, who am I here for? I'm here to uphold the law. I'm here to serve the people. And if I'm upholding the law, and if I'm serving the people, I'm doing my job rightly. I don't have to be afraid of anybody.
During her tenure as the Inspector General of Tihar Jail, she brought about several reforms in the way the prisons are managed. She brought forth a number of measures like yoga, meditation, redressal of complaints made by the prisoners, and many more, with the aim of improving the living conditions of the drug addicts and the underprivileged people. She laid the foundation for the establishment of two voluntary organizations, namely Navjyoti and India Vision Foundation.
So I can let them ruin their time, I can make them worse, or I can make them find good human beings.
She has been in the vanguard of a nationwide India Against Corruption movement led by Anna Hazare, and also an author of several books. She is one woman who fearlessly fought corruption, illiteracy, crime, drugs, injustice. She is a lady with a vision, with a cause. She is a lady of actions. She is a recipient of the prestigious Ramon Magsaysay Award, also called the Asian Nobel Peace Prize. She is one person who truly believes in dignity, courage, fearlessness, commitment, She has been voted as India's most admired and most trusted women. Dr. Kiran Bedi is truly the inspiration, not only to Indian women, but to any person in the world for her determination, hard work, honesty, and the desire to serve her country.
Thank you, IT team. Your Excellency, may I request you for the kind address and please lead us to light, madam.
So am I speaking to Dr. Suryavanshi?
Yes, ma'am.
Lovely. And you have your director, Manish Parmar?
He is there, and also we have our Chancellor, Dr. Asim Chauhanji, with us.
Oh, he's always there.
Yes.
He is a big learner.
And our Vice Chancellor, Dr. D S Rao, is also here.
I'm telling you, the Chauhan family is a student themselves. They're constantly learners.
Sure, ma'am.
Whole Chauhan family, that is why they've created centers of learning so that they keep learning.
Absolutely, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So thank you, Dr. Suryavanshi, and also Manish, because Dr. Parmar was corresponding with me. And that's why I thought he was hosting it. So that's how I tweeted it. But my next tweet will include, will mention that you were actually the host. And Dr. Suryavanshi, I apologize for that little, but I'm very happy to be connected with both of you. And the Chauhans again. I believe I'm speaking to Amity law students or students?
Ma'am, at this moment you are speaking to Amity students in India, abroad, Amity universities, more than 1,000 students together, and some eminent guests as well, ma'am.
And what is the focus you would like to me to be at the moment? What is the general? Because there's so many angles to my life. Which is that you wish me to focus on?
Your Excellency, you are the best judge, but leadership.
Just call me Kiran. Just call me Kiran and tell me. No excellencies.
Okay, ma'am. So leadership and governance, and some of the lessons you learned handling the hard tasks in crisis.
So it's leadership and it's in governance, right? And
Crisis.
This is the way we take.
Absolutely.
Let's look at the current crisis. Let's begin now, then we go back a little, because the current thing is immediately relevant. What has the current crisis revealed? Shut the door and no movement. What the current crisis has clearly revealed who we were. Whoever was where he or she was. I think it's a great time to know who was where, whether as a political leader, whether as a government servant, whether as a student, whether as a teacher. It's a great equalizer and it's a great reflector this time. So let's look at the current situation rather than going back to the past the way I led. I think those were historical days. In fact, I was wondering whether the amount of work we did in the past and the manner in which we did, when will that ever be possible again? Because the whole system was so open. The whole system was just crowded, right? And the amount of mobility we could have, amount of interaction we could have, the amount of crowding we could have had, the crowded thinking we could have. And now it is we have to make do with best what we are doing right now, but we're making best of what we have. So I think COVID is a great example to begin from. And I will give you the example how we are practically doing it at Puducherry. Because rather than you all read theory, you all are well read, you're a university, you do research, you do lectures, you do book reading. But let me give you the example of governance and leadership in Puducherry in COVID times, where I'm strictly directly the administrator. And what have I found? What have I found? Now let me show you an audit. We found ourselves immediately, where were we inadequate? And the first thing I think, as an administration, where we were found inadequate in leadership was collaboration. We were lacking in collaboration. We were all working in silos. Many departments, secretaries of the government, principals of the school, vice chancellors working in silo. They were working only with themselves, and they were, because the situation did not compel them to come together. And whenever we wanted as a leadership, and leadership is also collaboration. Leadership is not being by yourself. Leadership is coming together. Now the situation is, look at the shift. The shift now is collaboration. Shift is, let's strengthen each other. And now we're looking at social media, WhatsApp groups, FaceTimes, Facebooks to collaborate. Why are we not by ourselves anymore? Earlier, because we were crowded in our own worlds. Earlier leadership was your own world. Now it is the world which is you. You have to be part of the world and to give yourself to get something. If you don't give, you will not get. Earlier leadership is, it does not matter whether I give, I will get anyway. I'll snatch it. I will grab it. I'll somehow manage it. Greed was the rule. Ego was the rule. Greed, ego, consumption was the rule. The leadership was being ruled by me, myself, and not us. And the we was my university, my college, my school. It was not our school. It was my school, my class teacher, my monitor. We were competitive. Second thing which I noticed was that while we were not collaborating, we were completely competitive. We were never team building. In all our examination was, who is going to come first? It's only symbolically houses were formed, the Red House, the Green House, the Gandhi House, the Nelson House. But as houses, we used to win trophies, but never work, because the grade was 1 mark more. It was not A, B, C. It was 99.9. And you see how many people are getting 100%. And even in 100%, some of them are not entering many colleges they want to get in, because we reached a saturation level. So I think our leadership was highly selfish in the past. It was non-collaborative, and it was promoting a lot of individualism, and it was only promoting competition, and it was only imposing individualism and greed and selfishness. There was no gratitude, there was no team building, there was no unity. Now, let me give you an example. I give you an example. Puducherry has many, many universities and colleges. Puducherry is actually like, and it has 7 medical colleges. It has a central university. It has state universities. It has hundreds of colleges. And never did they come together. Nobody brought them together. And even if a call was given, as leadership, call was given, nobody came together for Swachh Bharat. Now, Swachh Bharat was a goal. Nobody came. We kept requesting them. And if the students would come, they would say, would you give us transport? Would you give us a lunch? Would you give us a certificate? Would you give us a photograph? Would our name be in the newspaper? Would we be up in the media? And if somebody's name was missed out and somebody's photo was missed out, we lost them. We lost that goodwill. This was the kind of selfish leadership we were promoting. And I am witness to that. One officer who was at the top would not break hierarchies. So we were also hierarchical. See, so non-collaborative, very highly competitive, building a greed and ego and competitiveness. We were also very hierarchical. We would pick up the phone to talk, and we would never be accessible. The leadership, the government leadership was not accessible. The political leadership was conditionally accessible, because if I get something out of it, I have time for you. But if I don't get anything out of it, why should I? And you belong to the opposition. Why should I serve you? Because you never voted for me. And the officer would say, why should I meet you? My time is over, 6 o'clock done. So that was the kind of leadership. We, of course, have exceptions in everything. Now that times of those leadership is gone. I think that COVID has taught us that by doing this, you will not survive. Now it's coming together, and we have an option. We have today an option, the new leadership we can emerge, can develop, where we come together for causes to survive. And we train, look, volunteerism is never a part of our education. When we call the university students to come and volunteer for greening trees, let's say Green Puducherry movement, okay, they would, do you know, out of 400, 500 volunteered, they would raise their hands. When I went to address a particular university or a college, I will say, Van Mahotsav aa raha hai. Kitne bache, how many of you would like to plant a tree in the name of your mother or your grandfather? So many hands. But they would, out of 500, 200 will come. 500, 300 ne haath zarur kiya, 200 will come. Out of those 200, if the transport did not come, only 60 would come. And again, in out of the 60, if again they couldn't hitchhike, no, it's finally 20. I have the numbers. I've done these movements here, and I realized why? Because the volunteerism was never a part of school education. Unless we learn school volunteerism in the school, we will never get this grassroots learning of collaborative leadership. Now, when you do volunteerism, I think the first thing you learn to be is leader, because you are into doing. Leadership is all about doing, not knowing. Leadership is about doing and knowing and then showing the way. But show the way cannot come unless you do and you know. But you know, but you don't do. And you don't do, that you're not competitive. And when you do, you have to get out of the comfort zone. Leadership is every day out of a comfort zone. Whereas the lazy person is everybody is in this non-risk area. Why should I do pehle aap? Pehle aap. So I think if we have to change that pattern of leadership, which I've seen whether in the service or in the private sector, of course, you got people, there were companies who did corporate social responsibility in a big way. And they stepped in and they showed the leadership when things were wanting to be changed. But I can tell you, Dr. Suryavanshi, India can be the greenest. India can be the cleanest. India can have enough water for its cultivation, etc., provided we teach volunteerism in the school time. Everybody does an hour of volunteerism. Pick up an area of the school, class of the school. Now see, now this is not going to come easily. Ab to school hi band hai. Ab to university band hai. Ab kaise aoge? Aakar karoge kya? Now see that? That's why I'm telling you, those are dreams now. The amount of work we have all done learning this volunteerism. NCC is volunteerism. But how many people, how many students join NCC? It's now up, it's totally optional. How many do NSS? But I must tell you, even the NCC NSS students did not have, saying, this is not in our beat. हम तो march past करेंगे, refreshment मिलेगी कि नहीं मिलेगी, या parents would not send them for extra. Parents are the biggest holding back of grassroots leadership. They say पढ़ाई करो, नंबर लाओ, इंजीनियर बनना है, डॉक्टर बनना है, और वो नंबर लेने हैं, कैट में पास होना है, नीट में पास होना है. They do not allow. Parents also do not allow sports. They do not allow this kind of adventurism by which leadership does not develop. So what is happening in my experience, that we are not teaching early leadership. Early leadership in our country has not been sown. And we are teaching leadership, but they listen, they experience, they admire, they appreciate, they respect. But most of them are followers. Most of them are followers. So leader is one who first of all leads himself. So leadership begins with the person. Whether he or she leads himself mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. He's self-reliant. He or she knows, why am I doing, why, and with whom am I doing, where am I going, and therefore it's not the net worth, it's the life worth. This leadership is looking for life worth, not creating a net worth. So at the moment, I think the focus was in the past was parents would say, how much will be your net worth? But those who are leaders whom we are looking up to are those who created life worth. What now? Life worth means whole set of values. Life worth means all those values of integrity, all those values of gratitude, all those values of simplicity. So I think these are things which, if we inculcate, number one is life worth, before you think of net worth. Second is the sense of gratitude. Moment you have voluntarism when you're a child, you will be grateful to nature. You'll to you have to teach them, why do you not cut a tree? Why is tree so important? Why is water conservation? Why? This will be learned in school is a part of schooling. Then why must we respect our Indian history? And then the second, third is we are rootless. Today, most of us Indians have not gone back to our own history. We do not know our ancient wealth at all. Ancient knowledge has never been part of in fact, it's not even honors offered. I did honors in English. I wish I had honors in Indian knowledge. I would have done honors in Indian knowledge. Why should I do English honors? Why do I do English honors? Why can't I do honors in ancient knowledge of the Upanishads, the Vedas, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, the Puranas, and all the... Why not? Why can't I learn that as an Indian? But there is nothing like that available, right? So with the result, if we make that available, we will make rooted, proud Indians. Third is the spirit of innovation. How will I be an entrepreneur? As a child, I'm more focused on whatever I do when I get a job. I think this current realization has made us think that today it should be not job oriented, but it could be entrepreneurship oriented. Today, in the past, why is Prime Minister saying Atmanirbhar? Because we looked up to the others' cheaper goods, or we copy pasted most of the time. The time of copy paste is now gone. If we can start creating things, after all, how did Amazons come? How did Alibaba's come? How did Facebook come? How did other Microsoft and the Google come? They're Indians for them, but all we have own Indian companies available. But the question is that we become more entrepreneurial, solution provider. Entrepreneur is looks at a problem and looks at a solution. I see the person, and then as you emerge, do the professional. Once the professional, you take yourself into the everybody home. The person to the person comes back, he leaves behind. So the person is more important. I said life worth, the net worth he's leaving back at comes back as a person. He's also his profession, which are common at the end. So I would say we focus on leadership. Leadership comes by doing. Leadership, life, the worth of life, rather than net worth must. That's an investment. That's a wealth of which makes you entrepreneurial, which gives you comforts of. I would love questions now. Oh, they're not yet. They're not asked quite some time. What's the time? I think I'm hearing me for some time.
Thank you.
Why?
Experiencing some bandwidth.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
You hearing me till the end?
Dr. Suryavanshi, we can go to questions now. You can begin with the Q&A. Dr. Suryavanshi?
Were you hearing me till the end? Dr. Parmar, were you hearing me till the end? Dr. Suryavanshi, were you hearing me till the end?
Yes. You're very audible, and we could hear you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yes. And Dr. Suryavanshi, are you online? I think a lot of questions would have come in.
Clock here, I don't.
Questions have come. Thank you, ma'am, for your kind address. And Since you have less time, I'll immediately, with your permission, go to the questions for your kind listening. Ma'am, time is right now 5:30, so I think we have 20 more minutes. Thank you, ma'am. So one question comes from one of our participants is that how is NCERT syllabus reduction going to affect the sense of leadership and gratitude?
I do not know I am not what is being deducted the NCERT. I do not know. If I have no comments to offer because it's not known what is the slicing off they're doing.
Right. Sure, ma'am. Thank you. So, is there any other some of the ma'am? There is one question has come, ma'am, from Gargi Pandit, one of our participants. She asked, "How do you set priorities for different tasks, and how do you manage your time for them?"
It said, as somebody said, there's something called urgent, and there's important, and there's something called not important, not urgent.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
So,
Ma'am,
and the
okay.
urgent when you don't pay attention to the important.
True, ma'am. Well said, ma'am.
So one needs to have a very intuitive sense of what is. It also comes by planning.
True,
Where
ma'am.
you plan your next day tentatively, you make a timetable, you do a day schedule, you prioritize your day, but you also prioritize your week.
Right, right. Ma'am, one question has come from Dr. Siddharth. His question is that can you bless us with some of the health model of our country that could emerge, but unfortunately it has failed? That's the question about health system. So governance system.
Come again, sir. What was your question? In between lost the
One
signal.
question is that yes,
Dr. Manish,
my one question is
Dr. Manish, you'll have to mute yourself.
Dr. Manish, please mute your this thing. One
Those who are
question
not
is that,
speaking
ma'am.
can mute. Yeah.
One question, one of our participants want to ask, ma'am, how do you improve the health system, governance in health system that has quite failed in our nation?
Well, because we never made enough financial investments at all. And over the years, I do not know why did we monopolize, why did we restrict opening up more and more medical colleges? I do not know. And why did we not spread opening up more colleges and then satellites? We never made financial investments, but we also monopolized completely. And I think we kept ourselves starved. I think very heavily faulty past policies on medical education, both in its management as well as distribution and investment. Now that has been challenged. COVID has revealed a huge inadequacies in our spread of medical education. We are probably as the largest democracy in doctor ratio. We are the poorest.
True, ma'am.
Because of faulty past investigations. We had monopolized. I think it's only in the recent past we've added more medical colleges, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, only in the very recent past. I do not know why should not every general hospital, government major hospital, be converted into a medical college, because they got nursing there, they've got practicing there, they've got laboratories there. Why not there? Convert that into a medical college for the area. Why not? They could be practitioners and teachers for nursing as well. For nursing as well, we monopolize even nursing. I think every major hospital should become a training ground for as a medical college, because they got everything to go for. They can practice, they can teach, they can learn, they can research. Tell me what is not available in every major good hospital. That means we need to just upgrade a major hospital in every state and every city and convert that into a district medical college.
Absolutely, ma'am. Ma'am, one of the question is that
you don't need to spend money on more of brick and mortar. On the contrary, you upgrade that hospital, add quality to that hospital, and create students for that hospital. Why not?
absolutely, ma'am. One question has come from Dr. Charate. His is that, ma'am, as a leader, you have tried to reduce the stress in your men you command. What is your advice for us teachers for the stress reduction among the students?
Because we have not added Indian education, our Indian heritage to our education. Had we done that, you think we would have had to celebrate Yoga Day? Every day would have been a Yoga Day. Every day would have been a spiritual day. Why? Because we are now reviving, we are recalling our own heritage and offering it to the rest of the world. Any day you begin with yoga, you become a life of yoga.
True, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. One question is from another lady participant. Her name is Madhurima. Says, respected ma'am, you are true an inspiration for women in India. Listening to you is an honor. The question is that what role a family plays in women upliftment?
Every child is a product of their respective families, boy or a girl. The girl is shaped according to the mindset of the parents, the desires of the parents, the dreams of the parents, the beliefs of their parents, the expectations of the parents. So parents play a very vital role in shaping the mindset of their children, boys and girls. Boys tend to fly out more because they move out a lot. They are very mobile and they're very influenced by friends. But girls are more controlled. So having been under more of a controlled environment, they are under a more close scrutiny to follow the diktats and the dreams of their parents. So those of the parents who dreamt big have allowed us kinds of girls to fly high. Those who didn't have kept the children girls back.
True, ma'am. One question is from one participant. This is how these days Madam Kiran Bedi sees herself as a manager or as a leader in crisis.
I see myself very responsible, very responsible for overseeing the safety and health of 14 lakh population, direct population of Puducherry. I make an endeavor every minute of the day to see that all the 14 lakh people get served and that they trust in governance, they trust in administration, and that we live up to their trust.
Ma'am, thank you. One question is from Piyush. He says, ma'am, in this crisis, do you think our governance system in India will change for better by learning lessons in this health crisis?
Well, if we learn the lessons and if we all individually reflect, I think so and I don't think so. It all depends on how every individual takes this. But families will change. That I know. Families will change. But how long will this impact remain amongst the next aspirants of the Union Public Service Commission, or people who will be going into the corporate world or into rural leadership? I think there will be a change, because this kind of a crisis is going to leave a long-term impact of uncertainty of life, uncertainty and not take anything for granted, and probably it will leave a value for time, leave a value for family time, etc., and even to save and spend accordingly and not be wasted. I think there will be shift in the value systems and preferences of the post-COVID, I would say post-COVID generation. There will be a post-COVID generation. So post-COVID generation would be different, but how they convert themselves into the future public officials, time alone will tell.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, there's one question from Aishwarya Katare. She says, ma'am, what is advice for MBA student once they graduate, how they should work to improve the organization's health and progress?
NBA? Which is NBA?
The question is MBA, business management
MBA.
student.
MBA. For a big whole, I think you have to factor in all the elements which COVID will demand. It should be demand driven. I think you need to rework, put a research team together and look at 10 years ahead, 20 years ahead, 30 years ahead. The post-COVID period of leadership and management is not going to be the same as it was past. Past is already outdated. You can learn from the past, but you'll have to build on the future. So I think it would be a good idea to form research teams to look at what are the changes we need in lifestyle, in attitudes, in family values, in work habits, in entrepreneurship, in education. I think in personal traits, eating habits, I all need to be considerably altered.
Right.
Learn more practical learning. Learn more practical learning, which means more of apprenticeships, more of entrepreneurship, more of hands-on learning, more of attachments, learn from day one, and more of self-learning rather than teaching. And lot of online learning.
Thank
Lot
you,
of
ma'am.
research, lot of learning to research.
Absolutely, ma'am. One question is from Ayushi Sharma. Sorry, I just lost his name. I think anonymous. He says, "What is the message for women who are trying to excel in a difficult field?"
Sorry,
I
carry on.
I have got 5 minutes. I know that you have to go for another meeting,
No,
ma'am.
it's okay, carry on.
And another question is that what is the message for women who are trying to excel in a difficult field? Difficult field.
Well, if they find it difficult, why are they going there?
True.
Why are they
Absolutely.
why do they call it difficult? They should say where they want to go. Why do they say difficult? You already calling it difficult. Why are you going there?
Absolutely, ma'am. I'll go to another question. Is about the question is from Sumantra. He said, "Do you believe leaders are born and not made?"
No, leadership can be made, but yes, all of us are born with certain sanskars. We do. We are born with certain inclinations. We are born with certain aptitudes. Like Lata Mangeshkar is a born singer, but she trained herself too. She was born and she nurtured. Father nurtured her, but she had the voice. How did she? Her father saw her singing where the student was missing. Her father, playing the riyaz when his student was not there. And the father realized that he's educating a student. Why is he not educating and training his own daughter? So she was born with this voice of a nightingale, but then the father spotted it and then fine-tuned it. So you are born with certain inclinations, you're born with certain qualities. Everybody has a unique trait in human nature, and then if the jury has an eye for the diamond, then this make the diamond shine.
Absolutely, ma'am.
It's nature and nurturance.
Absolutely. Thank you, ma'am. One question, I think last 2-3 questions. There's one question, ma'am. Do you think it will take many years to achieve global as promoted by our respected Prime Minister?
I think it should not take more than 3 years. If every one of us identifies what is my local strength and what can I replace that other thing, local can become vocal and global. I think every person has a responsibility towards India today, that what is it which is the local strength which I can build on. That's where the panchayats will have to play a very important role, the community leaders, the corporates, the public servants, men and women will have a very important role to strengthen the local strengths and promote them and make them be vocal about them and then go global with it.
Absolutely. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, there's one question which is a personal inspiration trying to draw from you, from Aditi. Say, ma'am, can you share your secret for reaching to such a great height through civil service examinations?
I think it's been a very there's a clarity of the intention and there's a clarity of focus. The intention was to grow up to serve. I must lead a life of service and service to my nation. I think there was an intention, there was an inner love and inner joy to be of value to the nation. So that grew with me as a student, as an NCC cadet, and as a sports girl. And I had a lot of opportunities to go overseas. I didn't avail of any one of those. I rejected them and stayed back because that was my intention. That was my inner calling. So I think I heard my own inner calling. That inner calling was to be continued to be of value to my own country, to my own people, to my own soil, to my own motherland. And so I think that inner calling automatically took me to the Union Public Service examination. And then whatever I got with it wasn't actually the reward of what I was asking for. So I valued everything I got, even if I got to run prisons of the time when it was considered a punishment posting. For me, it was a service to my country. So the intention never changed. My intention to serve my country to the maximum has remained consistent. That's the reason.
Thank you, ma'am. There's, I think, last 2-3 questions. There's one question from Momita. She says, ma'am, how do you hold on to ethics when everything is being challenged in difficult situation?
Oh, I don't hold on to ethics. Ethics holds on to me.
True.
Because I've grown in ethics. Ethics holds on to me. I don't hold on to ethics. Me and the ethics are sides of the same coin, two sides of the same coin. I'm a part of ethics, ethics part of me, because that's all I know. I've grown with ethics. So I don't hold on to ethics, because if I hold on to ethics, ethics may run away. Why? Ethics is part of me. Ethics is inside me. Ethics are part of my every cell of the body, because that's all I've learned. That's all I know.
Thank you, ma'am. The last question is from Miss Chandra. She says, ma'am, what are your views on effective governance in crisis situation? I think it's a repeat question. How do you manage the crisis situation when it comes? That's what her question is.
By raising your capacity, by acceptance of a reality and raising your capacity and constantly respond to a situation as it comes and willing to give it all and put in all your experience individually and collectively to deal with it. So you dissect a crisis. You don't run away. You face it. You accept it. And then you ask yourself, where are my resources? These are mine. I have with me. How can I muster more? So you muster more. As an administrator, your public officials, people are your resources. So when you face a crisis, if you are courageous by nature, if you're fearless by nature, and if you are intentionally to serve by nature, you will be upfront with it. And then what will you do is you start looking at what do I have, what is my capacity, what is that I know, I must put it on the table and give it all. And then I need more. Where is it available? I tap it. For instance, if you're short of medical services, today like we were short of, we got 7 medical colleges. We tap them. I have this much. Where are my 7 colleges? We write to them, we tap them, we incorporate them. So we start incorporating, co-opting people and asking them, and then we use the law. There's a Disaster Management Act. If somebody refuses to come, then we use the law. That's the role of an administrator. I have the power to ask for you. I have the power to demand of you. But I have the first duty is to request you. Please co-opt because the situation needs you. So when you have a crisis, you see your resources, you measure up to the capacity, and if you need more, you start looking at where are they available, I co-opt them. And then you say, if somebody is not understanding, you as an administrator, you invoke the law for not for yourself, not for your ego, but to see that the crisis is dealt with for the larger interest of the people. So intention to serve is paramount.
Thank you, ma'am. There are, ma'am, so many questions that if I go on, it will take 2 hours. And with your permission, I cannot annoy Isha. She has given me strict guidelines, so I'll stick to that. So, but last question, she's anonymous. This is the last question, ma'am. Where do you see yourself after 5 years?
I will see myself as today. When tomorrow comes, I'll see myself again, and I must repeat the right things for tomorrow. I don't see myself 5 years from now. I only see myself right now as I see. I will see myself when the tomorrow comes. I'll see myself again, keep doing my duty, what is supposed to be done as long as I live.
Thank you so much, sir, ma'am. So we come to an end. Ma'am, it was great listening to you, great honor here. And it was 1,000-watt energy coming to each of us, Amitian. And as we are inspired by our leadership, our Chancellor himself is listening, our Vice Chancellor is listening. So we assure you, ma'am, at Amity University.
My warm regards to them.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll convey. And ma'am, just to sum it up, you have mentioned very nicely that is the not age for individual silos, but it is a collaborative approach. You also mentioned about it's not trying to fit into own world, but trying to fit that the world is in us and all Indians. At Amity, we Amitians, we are always driven by your crazy enthusiasm and we'll carry this word of wisdom. Ma'am, one very important thing you mentioned about value for values. That even if everything is wrong, but stick to the value system. That is very, very important. You spoke about sanskara. You spoke about many, many things. You also spoke about knowing, doing, being. Incidentally, ma'am, it's a very famous book by Professor Shrikant Datar. He's a professor at Harvard Business School, an Indian. And he wrote a book called Knowing, Doing and Being. So exactly, it was there. Ma'am, you also mentioned about each Indian should do voluntarily. Ma'am, would be very happy to know that Amity University, all of our students do a lot of voluntary service in our villages, whom we work with very closely. Another you mentioned about also, ma'am, that instead of just trying to give them employment, try to improve entrepreneurial system. Ma'am, we have a very big Amity Innovation Incubator, one of the largest, I can say, in the country, Amity Capital Venture. So we work very hard. But I think today, getting inspired by you, we'll have to increase our work by 100% more. So we assure you, ma'am, that we will carry the words of wisdom you have tried to share with us. We are so grateful to you for blessing us this evening. And now, I don't know, but had you been in the campus, a standing ovation for you, ma'am, for all of us at Amity. And may I request Dr. Manish for a vote of thanks, please?
Yes, Manish.
Good evening, all. It is rightly stated by W.A. Ward. Feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. So let me do it now. On behalf of the Amity University, Mumbai, it is an honor for me to express my gratitude to today's speaker for this wonderful session. First of all, a very, very big thanks to the most accomplished lady of actions, Dr. Kiran Bedi, ma'am, for her precious time with us. Ma'am, no amount of words would be sufficient to express our deepest gratitude to you. However, please do register our utmost reverence for you, now and always. I would like to thank our founder president, Dr. Ashok Chauhan sir, for his blessings for this event. I especially thank our beloved Honorable Chancellor, Dr. Asim Chauhan sir, for being there with us in all our endeavors. I express my gratitude to Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. D S Rao sir, for his encouragement and constant support. I am heartily grateful to the fraternity of Amity University and to all esteemed participants from renowned institutions to this grand success. I wish to specially mention support from Team Rajnivas, to the senior dignitaries from the head office, Amity University, Noida. Once again, ma'am, ladies and gentlemen, please do accept my sincere gratitude for being with us today. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, thank you so much. We're so grateful to you, ma'am, for your time. Your blessings are so valuable to us. I'm so grateful. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chauhan. Thank you, the whole family. And thank you, Mr. Suryavanshi. And thank you, Manish. Thank you.